Oil, the black gold that powers the world. Across Asia, nations sit on vast reserves of this precious resource, but one country stands above the rest. Which Asian country has the most oil reserves, and why doesn't it cash in by exporting more for profit? Today, I'm digging into the numbers, the geography, and the surprising reasons behind this oil mystery. Let's get started. When we talk about oil reserves in Asia, the Middle East immediately comes to mind, and for good reason. Among all Asian nations, Saudi Arabia holds the crown with a staggering 258.6 billion barrels of proven oil reserves as of recent estimates. That's more than any other country on the continent, and it ranks second globally, just behind Venezuela. But here's the twist. Despite this massive stockpile, Saudi Arabia doesn't export as much as you might expect relative to its reserves. Why? Let's unpack it. First, let's look at the reserves. Saudi Arabia's oil wealth is concentrated in giant fields like Ghawar, the largest conventional oil field in the world. This stuff is light, sweet crude, easy to extract and refine, with production costs as low as $3 a barrel. Compare that to Canada's oil sands or Venezuela's heavy crude, and you see why Saudi oil is a gold mine. In 2023, the kingdom produced about 9 million barrels per day. Impressive, right? But here's the kicker. They could pump more. So why don't they? One big reason is OPEC, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. Saudi Arabia is the de facto leader of this group, which controls about 40% of global oil supply. OPEC's mission? Keep oil prices stable. If Saudi Arabia flooded the market with its full capacity, potentially 12 to 13 million barrels a day, prices would crash. Low prices might boost short-term profits, but they'd hurt long-term revenue. So, they export around 6 to 7 million barrels daily, not their max, to keep the market balanced. But it's not just about OPEC. Saudi Arabia is keeping some oil in the ground, on purpose. Vision 2030, their big economic plan, aims to diversify away from oil dependency. They're investing in solar, tourism, and tech, using oil profits to fund it. Why export every drop now when they can save reserves for the future? Domestic demand plays a role too. They consume about 3 million barrels a day for power, desalination, and industry. Exporting less keeps their own engine running. Now let's compare. Russia, with 80 billion barrels mostly in Asian Siberia, exports heavily, over 5 million barrels daily, because its economy leans hard on oil cash. China, with 25 billion barrels, produces 4 million barrels a day, but imports twice that to feed its growth, barely exporting any. Iran, with 208 billion barrels, is choked by sanctions, limiting exports to under 1 million barrels despite huge potential. Saudi Arabia's choice isn't forced, it's strategic. So does Saudi Arabia suffer by not exporting more? Not really. Their low-cost oil still nets massive profits, billions annually. Holding back preserves their reserves, estimated to last over 70 years at current rates, while others like Iraq or the UAE might run dry sooner. Critics say they're too reliant on oil anyway, but this restraint gives them leverage, geopolitical clout, as the world's oil swing producer. Saudi Arabia has Asia's biggest oil reserves, but they're not just pumping for profit, they're playing a long game. From OPEC quotas to future-proofing their economy, they're shackled by strategy, not weakness. What do you think? Smart move or missed opportunity? Let's hear your take in the comments. Thanks for watching. If you like this oil odyssey, smash that like button, subscribe, and hit the bell for more. Next time we'll explore another global riddle. Until then, stay curious.